Damn it.
Are we live? Technical difficulties. One moment, please. What is happening, everybody? I hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Welcome to the live show. If it's your first time watching the live, I appreciate you swinging by. This is my little slice of YouTube. Pretty much a background noise generator. Usually, folks that are listening to this are doing something significantly more important than probably anything that I could be talking about. So, good looking out to my machinists, my first responders, my guys on the farm riding in the tractor. What's up to my truck driving brethren? I hope everybody out there is having a good one. Fun show tonight. Going to be chatting a little bit about some of the videos I've been putting out. Going to be talking a little bit about some upcoming motorcycles, maybe some videos that you guys have seen floating around out there on the interspheres. We're also going to be talking a little bit about upcoming projects and specific little new to the show motorcycle that will hopefully be making her debut. What is today? Tuesday? Maybe on Thursday. We'll see. I'm debating on really the best way to bring this girl to you guys. So what she's going to be is it's going to be a bike that you guys would buy yourselves. Let's say you're just getting into motorcycling or you're just getting back into bikes. You don't really know what to get. You're of a certain age, let's say, and there's a certain kind of motorcycle that you grew very fond of back in the day, but because of a couple of too many shots and maybe one extra one, you're a dad now, and you had to give away some of those fun little hobbies that you had back in the day. So we're bringing those back, and I'm hoping to bring a little bit of fun into the channel too. I'm not really going to be taking this bike so seriously. This is a bike that we all grew up hooning around on, and it's a motorcycle that is extremely near and dear to my heart. Huge shout out to Hunter, Tommy, and the rest of the gang at Stubbs Cycles for allowing me to bring this motorcycle to you. Be on the lookout because I want to bring this bike to you kind of a soup to nuts deal. Let you know best ways to find yourself your favorite new, used, brand new to you though, motorcycle. Some things to look out for, and then we're going to put this thing together the same way that you would have probably 25 years ago, right before the big slip up. All right, so let me check in with you guys real quick. Bruce is saying, hopefully it works better this time. Had some technical difficulties. Some camera stuff was going on. There was all kinds of fun things going on in here. But we're back up and running. DM saying, good evening, B and chat friends. We are without picture and sound. We are back now, hopefully with picture and with sound. Matt saying, and he's back. Here we go. Those of us sitting on our asses eating an orange. Dude. So I'd gone to HEB the other day, and they have the Tangelos. But down here, we also have these beefed up looking Tangelos, but they're just like roided up mandarins. And I am cracked out on those things. I got to watch it because my hands will be orange from eating so many of them. Skids, hopefully before that. Yeah, we're about to get a cold snap. It will be here before that. DM saying, game on. And he's back. He's saying, howdy. Those of us laying in bed listening to this bedtime story. Oh, yeah, I forgot. And to some of you guys, I know, because I've had every once in a while, somebody will say, kick this on and fell asleep immediately. Sweet dreams and happy journeys to the what is it? The Winkin, Blinkin, and Nod. The land of Nod. Enjoy your journeys. Matt saying, confirmed he got a Grom. Did not get a Grom. Miki saying, Sportster. No, didn't get a Sportster. Not this time through. Something a little bit more nearer and dearer, although very good, very good guess, by the way. And that is not a bike that is not outside of the range of what could be, but it's not a Sportster. But it should kind of come as no surprise. But We shall see it here very, very soon. So Felipe is in saying, hello, Felipe. All right. So what's the latest? What is the greatest out in the whole motorcycle sphere? As far as new bikes that are coming down the pike, there's a few bikes that are coming, but we just don't know what really to think of just yet. And these are some bikes that you guys have heard me talk about or have seen me do ride reviews back in the day, or the post ride reviews from Triumph. And I've got to say that Triumph is trying to make some amends for some really questionable decisions that they've made. And it is a game plan that Triumph had stuck to for quite a while. And it looks like that game plan is starting to wear itself out. And what I'm talking about is where Triumph will make an engine like the Street Triple 765. And only through tuning, what they'll do is I don't know, they're tier up or tier down, depending on how you're looking at the engine setup, or the horsepower waterfall, if you will. But everything's basically the same, but you're paying for extra power through a tune, in essence. Maybe a little bit of better suspension bits or whatever. Well, they did that with the 660 engine for the Trident, and they did it for the Tiger 800, or Tiger 660 rather. We've got the Tiger 800, not very great bike. Okay, I was very disappointed by that machine, but that's just me. We do have the Trident 800 that's going to be hitting soon. It's a roadster. Is that cool for you? If you like it, it's maybe a good bike for you. But where it really lagged Triumph, the brand, was with the Trident 660 and with the Tiger 660 Sport. Well, they're bumping it up, the engine in those bikes, to 660 Daytona spec. So I guess that's a good thing. Although I'm kind of confused, because this is another series of engines and series of motorcycles that, although they look good on paper, they don't really do that well when you ride them. Case in point, let's all say it together, GSX 8R. The problem is with the 8R, the 8S, the Tuono, why do I always say that? The V-Strom 800. These are all bikes that offer up much better of a thing than the Triumphs do. And so I'm curious if Triumph was taking a look at the Suzuki's, the Honda 750 Hornet, and seeing what kind of performance envelope those machines had, figured out that they were kind of getting beaten at their own game, and decided to stop the game playing and put an actual performer in that 660 engine. Better cams, better heads, better tuning, or whatever it makes the Daytona. They did that for the Trident, the Tiger. Is it going to be worth it? Is it going to bring sales back into the mix? I don't know, but the North American market, I don't know that they've been really all that excited about some of those bikes, at least recently. So let me check in with you guys real quick. Felipe saying, what did I miss? You bought a new bike? I did. It's not new. It is actually, it's a bike that you would buy. So here's the thing. Let's say you're a younger buyer. You've got the itch. You've maybe even had a motorcycle already. Let's say you've had a CDR 650. I don't know. You've had maybe a GSX 8R, and you're looking to kind of step things up, to spice it up just a little bit. What's the next step to go to? But you got to do it on a budget. Let's say you've been doing all of this motorcycling you've been doing already with secondhand bikes, stuff that your old man would have had, your uncle would have had, your aunt would have had. You know, you're riding around on some old bucket that they've been trying to get rid of for forever. You've been learning that bike, but now it's time to find you your own hot rod. That's where I'm coming from with this up and coming motorcycle. The reason why it's a little bit near and dear to my heart. This is a motorcycle that you would have found me on 20 years ago, of at least a different variant. This is a bike that I started to really cut my teeth with. And if it weren't for this motorcycle that I'm literally kind of revisiting, I'd have never been able to do any of the stuff that you guys see me do when I'm riding. And I'm not really even doing all that crazy stuff. I'm just out riding motorcycles, right? But this would have been the first bike that I ever had on track. This would have been the first bike that I ever did wheelies on. This would have been the first bike that I would have ever been doing stoppies on, which I had a thing for stoppies. Never really was into wheelies, Love doing stoppies, and I love doing rolling burnouts. I don't know. Wheelies, couldn't be bothered by it. Always freaked me out a little bit. Stoppies, for some reason, I was just like all about that life. But you catch me in the right mood, and I will pour down a rolling burnout the likes of which you've never seen. Do you guys not watch my ride review videos? Why do you think I do the U-turn at Goodyear? Anyway, lots of fun coming for me anyway. You guys might not. I don't know. I'll be having a blast with this thing. But it's going to be kind of a long how-to projects are going to be wrapped around this bike. There's going to be a ton of story time with Brian is going to be wrapped around this motorcycle. A lot of the same things that you'll hear me talk about my GSXR 750, you'll hear me talk about with this bike. So should be painting a picture pretty clearly at this point. Bruce is saying Turbo Busa. Man, I tell you what, if I had somewhere that I could play with a bike like that, like I could actually get out and have fun with it, maybe, but there's not really an avenue or a venue or an outlet for me for bikes like that. And I'll tell you why. It's one of the problems that I have with the GSXR 1000, the R1 to a little bit lesser extent with that bike. But one of my problems is that if I'm paying for 200 horsepower, I'm whipping 200 horsepower's ass, right? Like I'm going to use every horsepower that I bought. And sometimes that just doesn't lend itself. The problem is that I just don't get a chance to enjoy it to the fullest. Not the way that I can some other bikes. He's saying Turbo 7. Nope. Felipe's saying Triumph Tiger. No, not a Triumph Tiger. The problem is I really did like the Tiger 850, but I just could never get a decent deal on one. And again, I can't really use one. Toronto? What am I missing here? Every live stream, I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised when the feed works well on the live stream. Felipe's saying he's got a buddy that had a Rocket 3. The torque on that thing is huge. Oh, those things are massive. It's not a real comfortable bike. It's powerful as hell, but it's not really my cup of tea. Mickey, 2005 GSXR 1000? No, but close. Good call, though. Is it a 4-cylinder engine? Yeah, it is. I'm not saying K5 Gixxer for sure. Good luck finding one. Listen, if I could find a clean K5 GSXR 1000, I would probably add it to the fleet, mainly because it is down on power. And one of the takeaways, the more I ride my 1000, the more I love it. But the problem is that the more I love it, the more I want to ride it. And the more I want to ride it, the faster and goofier things that you'll find me doing on that bike. I just got the suspension really, for the most part, sorted out with that bike, but it's just a little bit, you can oversalt the soup, right? And that bike, with all the extra that it's got, it almost feels like it's making about 10 or 12 too many horsepowers, but it's still a riot to ride, and I love riding it. 2008 Gixxer 600, very close. And would have been in the running had I not been very specific about what I was looking for. Bandit 600, nope. Hornet 900, no. I thought about a Hornet though. Felipe said, I'm getting the feeling it's a naked bike. Definitely not a naked bike. Skid saying, B's not ready to let the cat out of the bag just yet. I actually did let the cat out of the bag just a little bit the other night when I was flipping back and forth with the screens. CB750 was a fun bike. I will say, though, that if I was to get a bike like the CB750, I would probably get, believe it or not, if I was to get something like the CB750, I would probably get a V-Strom 800 instead. I really like that bike. Skywalker saying, out of ZX2 thing was on that cocaine. I missed that bike, but it was pretty penny. Yeah. What's funny about bikes like that is that, man, they exist simply for the point of existing. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a cool exercise, if nothing else. Kind of like the Hayabusa in a way, or the ZX14. Felipe, Yamaha XJR 1300? No. Skids, R1? No, not an R1. Let me tell you something. I love the R1. The R1 that I did the ride and review, I mean, that bike came dangerously close to coming home with me. Almost. So if you notice in the ride and review with the R1, I really didn't want to like leave that bike there. I had done so some behind the scenes things. Sometimes when I leave out with a bike, there might be a situation with traffic where there'll be a car pull out, somebody's on their phone, and just about run you over. And so when I was on that R1, I had left. This is kind of funny in a way. I had left, got started with the video, got most of the video done, and ran into an issue at the very end. Traffic bottlenecked up. It got all kind of stupid or whatever. And I'm not really playing with the bike, but I'm just running the bike. So, oh, drat, got to start the video over. Coming to you live from the world famous Stub Cycle. So I do the thing, get on the bike, go for a ride. And it's funny because there was a second take that flubbed. It was my fault. Sometimes you get to looking, you get stopped. There's other traffic and distractions. And keep in mind, I'm talking while I'm riding. And so I was like, oh, darn, got to circle back around. So I busted back around. I think that bike, I ended up having to put gas in it. So anyway, I had a blast with it. And that's the very first bike, if you notice, that I started doing, okay, we're going to do the braking test with this thing. And so I was in the back at the MSF course, running the bike up and then grabbing the brakes, showing how well the brakes worked with it. And, oh, man, that bike was a lot of fun. But no, it's definitely not an R1. It's got to be an R6. I tell you what, R6s are hell to come by. No, it's not an R6, but you're close. It's not an R6. And the reason why it's not an R6 is basically because they're just very difficult to come by and they are cash money. No, I tell you what, let me see if I can do this. Hold, please. Let me just bear with me, guys. Let me do this. Here we go. Let me see if I can at least get you a teaser shot. I don't know that there is a good teaser shot that I can find. Other than to say, man, it's kind of hard to even give a teaser on this. Well, how many we got on here? We got 11. Might as well save it. Let's have a little bit of fun with the live show. Give her a soft introduction. Everybody give her the golf clap. Because in a way, I kind of got an old bike of mine back for this. Oh, would you look at that? That, my friends, is what we call in the business the GSXR 600, circa 2013. Red and white livery, bone stock to her core. And she is all mine, boys. I have got a new set of tires coming amongst a whole host of other things that are in this little bin right here. So the one that's labeled GSXR 600 that's conspicuously pulled out of the out of the cabinet right there. Okay, so what's up with this thing? Why am I going GSXR 600? What is the story behind this? Well, put a bit of an APB out to Hunter for the GSXR 600. And oddly enough, he found me the exact bike that I was hoping that he would find, weird as it may be. And so here's what I'm going to be doing with this bike. This is the idea here. One of the key takeaways whenever you are, whoa, what the hell did I just do? That was pretty cool. Hold, please. How did I manage to do that? Man, I just did something crazy. What did I do with my feed? Anyway, one of the key things that when you're talking about putting together a project bike for the channel, or when I was talking about putting a project bike for the channel, I went back and I took a look at which bikes honestly, honest to goodness, did the best, right? Which bikes were folks the most interested in? And as it turns out, are we still live? There we go. As it turns out, you know what? The GSXR 600 is one of the most popular motorcycles on the channel. And it's one of these funny bikes that how do I put this? It's one of these weird bikes that a lot of times when you get a GSXR 600 and you end up moving up from that bike, you end up missing it. And more people that had commented and watched the videos, or that had watched the videos and then decided to comment, were in love with their GSXR 600s. And for me, it only makes sense. It's in essence, in many ways, identical to the GSXR 750s. So why get them a little sister? Well, mainly because so many people can relate to the GSXR 600. Not only is it an incredibly relatable bike, but it's a motorcycle that has one of the strongest fan bases of any bike that's out there. What with so many thousands upon thousands of guys that have ridden that bike, there's still a lot of guys that look them up and want to see what the latest deal is with those things. Even though nothing has changed, they still like taking trips down memory lane. And that's what I'm here to do for you guys. So with this bike, we are going to be having some fun with it. Not going to get too crazy, but it is going to be a bike that is going to see a ton of regular rotation on my channel. And oh, by the way, it's not taking the place of any bike. This is an addition for me as much as it is the channel. You know, you guys see me on the blue bike a lot and have been seeing me on that bike a lot more lately. It's just because that bike is such good vibes. I love riding that bike, and the gray bike too. But to a much lesser extent, the leader bikes. And I got to thinking, what is it about these middleweight Gixxers that I like so much? They're smooth. Their ergonomics are spot on. They're a ton of fun, but it's the handling. And I just can't get enough of it. And since this is the bike that I kind of learned how to do all this stuff on the side of the tire and, you know, coming into the corners, trail braking, dropping her in, power on exit, you know, that whole thing. I want to be able to do maybe some videos where I'm showcasing some of that, some instructional videos. All of that is going to be managed through that GSXR 600. By the way, they're crazy easy on tires too. Tim saying, hey, from Australia, so I did a thing. Oh, you did a thing. Swapped out the 11 GSXR 750 for a 2012 GSXR 1000. I'm tall and heavy and just felt I needed the power. It's a beast. I'm loving it. Last of the thousands with no nannies. Very true. Fun bike, by the way. Very fun bike. Not an R1. Oh, yep. Yeah, you guys are checking in. Let's see. Felipe, no, it's not a CBR 600, but yeah, big congrats to Tim. Oh, here we go. Yep, that's about the time I came in. Nice bike. Nice. Very nice. Skid saying just a couple of bikes away from the entire Suzuki lineup. Indeed, my friend. Oh, Miki saying nice. It's the current model. It is. Loving the color. Me too. So back in the day, and this is stuff you'll hear me talking about. It's just mainly because we're on the live. We can chat about this. But back in the day in Northern California, when I first started getting into doing track days, lots of track days, the first bike that I ever had on Thunder Hill was a friend's GSXR 600. Had it out there for 2 sessions and loved it. And it was a red, white, gray, and black 2000. What was it? A 2006. So this would have been. Let me try something here. I'm going to see if I can get a picture of the bike that I was referencing. So, you know, that I had in my head. It was a red one and white. Was it 2006 or 2007? Might have been in 2007 or 2008. Nope, there it is. So this would have been, oh, there we go. So this would have been the first bike. That's it right there, that mother lover. Okay. So this would have been the first bike that I ever had at T Hill. Bear with me. And you'll see why I'm just like I had to get one of these. There we go. So check this out. That would have been the first bike for me at T Hill. So you can see why I'm kind of partial to the red and white, except his had black wheels, I think. But anyway, that gives you an idea. Awesome bike. So kind of tugged at my heartstrings a little bit, but it's the same livery. We'll pull that 2013 back up. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There we go. So you're seeing that one going, oh, okay, I was working. Good looking bike, right? So contrast that. Whoa, what the hell did I just press? With, come on now. There we go. Goodness. With that one. So you can kind of see why I'm a little bit kissy face with this thing. Okay, so what are the plans for this bike? Well, I'm not going to get too crazy with it. It's going to get the normal things that I do to these Gixxer middleweights. We'll get the mirror block offs on it. We'll get the tail tidy on it. We'll get the little cover for it. But I'm holding off on tunes and I'm holding off on exhaust for this bike just yet. And I'll tell you the reason why. The 600, a lot of the guys that would buy a 600, they're not going to go crazy with it. They're going to go really more for a little bit of noise, a better handling, with the better tires. But a full exhaust on a 600, I'm not going to say that it's not worth it, because it is. But it's one of these things where you're not starting off with a ton of power. You don't necessarily need more. And so it's going to be a hot minute before this bike gets a full exhaust, which would necessitate a tune. And this is where things get kind of odd, because when you get a bike, you've got to remember that there is still a budget that I'm going to be staying within. And the idea is, what are the realities of 600cc ownership, especially with the GSXRs or maybe a CBR, the more analog bikes? I'm not bringing the 636 into this conversation because it's such a different animal. It truly, honestly is, than the CBR and the GSXR variants. But at what point do you start spending so much money that you should have just bought a GSXR 750 to begin with? And realistically, with the 600, where I'm going to stop this bike for a while is going to be right where you need to. A nice slip-on, making it sound good, tires to make it handle good, suspension set up to where it is handling really good, which is basically leaving it stock. But I'm going to go over what to do with your first bike, what to do with, setting up your suspension, measuring sag, but also the importance of the relationship that you have with the dealership, the relationship that maybe somebody that has with a dealership, to be able to walk you through the process, to find you the bike, and to make sure that you have history on that bike, that you know the history of that bike through the folks that have had to actually turn wrenches on that thing themselves. So we'll be talking a little bit about that bike, and we're going to try to possibly get you guys some actual footage of the bike tomorrow. I think the tires are showing up tomorrow. I think they are. Rumored to me anyway. So when I take those tires over to Stubbs, I'm going to give you a walk around, and warts and all, I'm going to show you everything about this bike that is going to be replaced. What are good ideas to have on tap before you get your first bike and bring it home? All of that is going to be covered as well. So it should be a fun bike. So Skywalker saying, I feel like the GSXR 600 is so overlooked and overshadowed by the 750 and ZX6R. Same to be said for the CBR 600 also. So, hey, you want to know something kind of funny? And this is some of the, and if you're just getting into the show, a lot of times, this is my opportunity to kind of talk about some things that I either didn't get to in a standalone video or that for whatever reason, the topic just didn't quite make it to prime time yet. I didn't tell you guys the bike that actually changed my mind about the 636 and made me want to get not only the 750 in the fleet, but also the 600. Do you guys remember when I did the ride and review the GSXR 600 from the ZX6 owner's perspective? Boy, I do. Because here's the thing. When I rode the GSXR 600, you know, that bike, so many memories hit. And there were so many good things about the GSXR 600 with all that old school goodness that for me, the 636 just didn't have. And again, that's not taking anything away from the 636. Remember that I did the video where I'm comparing, well, it's the GSXR 750, but the 636 are, sitting like that. I'm sitting right in the middle and I'm going over all the different measurements of the 636. And I'm illustrating that, look, the 636 is an awesome bike. I would still have mine if it just fit me better. And it's weird. The 636 for me is arguably the best 600 in the class, provided that you fit that bike. Problem is, it was just like a shirt that doesn't fit. I like mediums because I'm swole. But the fact is, I couldn't get through that with a straight face, but I do like mediums. But the fact is that the thing just didn't fit right. The GSXR middleweights, I get on the bike and it is just like a tailor had taken my measurements and made a bike for me, which makes it difficult for me to ride or for me to be like just bonded with any other motorcycle except the Gixxer middleweights. And it's the same for me either for the 600 or the 750. But it was the GSXR 600, the black with the blue stripe. It's because of that bike. And I rode that thing and I thought, man, this is really good. I mean, this is good on a level that I just kind of really get. And for me, the way that the GSXR is dimensionally, I can make that bike do things that I just didn't feel comfortable with on the ZX6. Whereas ZX6 on track is a monster, make no mistake. But I'm a monster on a GSXR middleweight. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Mathis, no, the new bike is probably, the new bike's a girl, definitely. That's a little sister. So we're gonna come up with a name for her for sure. Me saying I'm gonna be doing stoppies on it. There might be all kinds of stuff I'll be doing with this bike. I've got to be careful with the 600. Here's the thing. My problem with GSXR 600s is that I immediately revert to idiot when I get on GSXR 600s, not because they're fast or because of this or that or whatever. It's just because I'm so familiar with that bike that I find myself doing, like, it's almost a reflexive action, right? So doing rolling burnouts on a GSXR 600, it's almost like, it's reflexive, right? Doing little stoppies here or there, long stoppies here and there, it kind of turns into that a little bit. So I don't know. I'm not going to be doing anything stupid. I'm still going to be doing the same things that I normally do. And I'm not going to be putting anybody in the public in danger. And so that will not be making it to video, at least not on public roads. Just saying. Okay. Skywalkers, have you thought about maybe trying to hitting up the drag strip with each one of the bikes, see what your times are? I think you'd get good views from that. I'd enjoy watching that. I'll tell you what, I would enjoy watching that too. Only problem, Sky, is that there ain't a quarter-mile track anywhere near here anymore. I used to live very, very close to a world-class facility that shut down. So unfortunately, I just do not have the facilities anymore to do that. Um, maybe one day we'll see. DM saying M4 should sponsor you. You buy more exhaust than a race team. I know. I'm putting a call into Kyle here on that one on this bike too. Matt is saying I like the 2XL because I'm a fat fucker. I like it. Tim saying just need a Busa now. I know, right? The Busa. I tell you what, I've got to walk past that gray Busa every time I am at Stub Cycles, and it is driving me bananas. Somebody's got one of y'all has got to buy that bike, and one of y'all has got to buy my red bike. It's sitting over there right now. If anybody wants a dialed in GSXR 1000, I know where there is one for sale right now. Beetle's asking, I have a GSXR 600 with a two-wheel Dynoworks flash and an M4 slip-on. Do you think it's worth cutting the cat and reflash? No, don't do it. Let me tell you why. I'm not going to do it to mine, and I'll tell you why I'm not. Oh, and that actually puts me back on track. So, Deedle, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Don't do it. It's not really worth it. The reason why it's not worth it is because you're just not going to get enough power for it to validate the work, the expense, and everything else you're going to have to do to that bike. The GSXR 750 resides in its own world, and you have to put full exhaust and a pipe on that bike, if for no other reason, to just allow that engine to breathe and be its best or whatever. The 600, though, utilizes all the same parts as the 750, and so the exhaust isn't as taxed as much. The airbox, and that's not as taxed as much. You've got more aggressive gearing. And so to put a tune on that bike, oh, here's the other thing. The 600 revs out to 14,000 RPM stock. There's not the same restrictions in the 600 or the 750 for that matter, if I'm being honest. And the fueling is actually really good on the 600 and on the 750. So there's not, you're almost disincentivized to throw the kitchen sink at a 600. Whatever gains that you get, you're going to go from, okay, where you're sitting now with the two-wheel Dynoworks tune and the slip-on. Like if you have the little GP slip-on, that's what I'm putting on mine anyway. You're sitting at about 108 horsepower, give or take, with the tune. You'll pick up 4 horsepower over a stock bike with no tune at all, right? That's not insignificant. That's a full 5% better power, give or take, right? But to go with a cat delete pipe, you're just not going to pick up much more than where you're at now. You may pick up a couple of points because you got to remember that on the most generous dyno that you're going to put that bike on, if that even matters. I'm not really a dyno guy, but we got to measure it with something, right? On the most generous dyno you'll ever find to put that 600 on, you might make 112, 113 at the most. I know Chris Moore's got one that says 114. Okay, but the reality is that you're sitting at about $112, and you're just at some point you're just not money ahead. I would leave that bike alone, and if you honest to goodness want more power that you're gonna feel, you got one of two options. I would either re-gear it, which can be super cheap. Just find somebody with a GSXR 750 that re-geared theirs with a 520 conversion and get their rear sprocket. You can go 2 up in the rear, and that'll put you at about the same gearing as a 636 is with 1/2 smaller rear sprocket like I had on mine. And you can always do that if you want to have a little bit better hit in like 5th and 6th gear. But I wouldn't go any more aggressive than that gearing. You'll start to get a little bit annoyed by it after a while. But if you decide, like I say, that you just want to have more in the bank in terms of power, get yourself a GSXR 750. It'll probably be your favorite bike, except for when you have thoughts of your 600 and then that's your favorite bike. Because here's the thing. The 600 has 15% more aggressive gearing than the 750 does stock. Another fun fact, the GSXR 600 has the same gearing as the GSXR 750, going one down up front and two up out back. So it's aggressively geared already, but not overly aggressive where you can't have fun with it and utilize a fairly healthy mile an hour for any of the 600 series of bikes. CB saying ZX6R and CBR 600 are having recalls, so now I'm choosing between GSXR 600 and CB 650R. Wanted a true super sport that offers ABS, but I might not have that option anymore. Man, I tell you what, I don't know when I've ever needed ABS on my GSXR 1000. It can actually be a bit more intrusive than what you might think. I understand the want for it though. So yeah, GSXR 600 doesn't have any nannies whatsoever. It's got a ride mode, but that's about the best you can hope for. But yeah, if you're looking for something with ABS, if you're considering the CBR 650, I mean, I've ridden that bike. May I suggest the Suzuki GSX-8R? Not necessarily a true super sport, not in the same vein as the 650 as far as being that sporty. You could always look at the R7, but the problem is that the prices just keep kind of going up, 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 and up, with the GSXR 600 being the most expensive of the ones that you may consider. But they are really good. Dito's saying GP slip-on and everything else stock with the tune. That's a good setup on that bike. CV saying, would like to see you on an R9 one day. Matt's saying, if he comes to Columbus, he can ride my R9 anytime. I do appreciate that. Oh, you got the R9 with the 40th anniversary colorway. Very nice. However, at least here in Colorado, R9 is hard to come by. R9 is impossible to come by here in Tejas, guys. I don't know what the deal is with that. Texas is just bled dry of R9s right now. And here's the sad thing. You know, I wanted to give the R9 its due. I really do. And I still do. I really want to get a leg over on one. You know, I rode the XSR 900, which is a good avatar for that bike. And you guys know that bike won Sport Naked of the Year for me last year. So there's definitely some love there for that bike. But, you know, here's the thing. I don't want to turn this into this versus that type of a scenario, but here we go. GSXR middleweights haven't changed in, 15 years. Here's the funny thing. Think of it like this. Is it 15 years? 11? 21? Yeah, 15 years. That the latest version of that bike has been out long enough for somebody who is conceived on its release to be cruising around with their learner's permit right now. I mean, it's just weird to think this is a fully formed-fledged human being at this stage, right? So, it's just kind of interesting, but that bike is the fruit of the previous generation being so good and having a couple of things changed on that bike, really just for emissions and, you know, for the, for whatever markets. Cause I mean, that 06 is just a thing of beauty. I think the 06 is the prettiest of the bunch, 06 and 7. God, that bike is just so freaking pretty. But anyway, not as pretty as that 13 though. Some bitch, that 13 is just damn good looking. But yeah, I think I missed somebody further up here. Bear with me here. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of lost my train of thought. I'm really liking the idea though of, so the middleweight GSXRs are the fruit of bikes that were already incredibly good. I mean, when you've got the entire weight of a company that's putting everything that they have into creating the best that they possibly can with what they had with the '06, '07, '08, God, it's hard to, they just turned out so good. Um, Somebody had mentioned the night ride video that I did. I think I accidentally passed them up. DM, was that you that said that? Bear with me here. It might have been on one of the streams that didn't quite make it to prime time, but here we are. Anyway, I hope you guys did like the night ride that I did. I was really having fun with that video. I ended up staying out for a while with the blue bike. And I got to say, for me, one of the things about being able to get bikes out and enjoy the weather that we're having now, this is where the middleweights really do come into their own. And I know this is going to sound like I'm pulling something out of my ass, but just walk with me for a second on this. And this is why I love these bikes so much, and why I'm not exactly like the most like kissy face with leader bikes when the weather really starts to get nice and cool. I can take one of the middleweights out and just ride it like normal. I can just go out and have fun. They're making a lot more power than they normally do. They get a little wheelie happy and they're fun and all of that. That's the fun part about the middleweights. When leader bikes, you start getting them out in cold weather, they get really rowdy. And, they're making a lot more power. The suspension is doing all it can to try to hold on to what that motor's making. So they can be a little bit of a handful, but man, these middleweights are a riot in any kind of weather. And so I had gone out, I got my gear on, I got my under gear on, and it was just such a fun ride. So anyway, I hope you guys like that. I'm going to try to get a couple more in as weather permits. Let's see. Oh, Matt's saying everywhere is bled dry. I was the 5th order here at Iron Pony in Westerville, was supposed to get it midsummer, and then my order got canceled. Coworker convinced me to just call every dealership. Got it. Mickey saying don't get the R7. I don't really have a problem with the R7 when it was released back in whenever that was. My problem with the R7 is it just really needs to be updated. It's way down on power compared to everybody else. Oh, Matt saying he got lucky and placed in West Virginia. Somebody had one and canceled their order. That's the only way I can get my hands on one. Damn, they only got 3. Yeah, some of the big places down here are only getting 5. And these are dealerships that sell just a ton of bikes. But I tell you what, you can get every GSX-R 600 you want. And Suzuki will sell every one that they make. Tim said, I had an SV650, GSX-R 750, a Gen 2 Busa, great bike, and now a GSX-R 1000. They are all amazing. But the Busa was the one that I had for 8 years. That low in power is like nothing else. Man, I'll tell you what, I've got a thing for Habusas, especially the Gen 3, because it is so silky. And it does things that I'm not really expecting it to do. It's fast, don't get me wrong, but it's fast in a real confident, like not cocky kind of way. It's fast in a fun kind of way, in an effortless kind of way. The way that like if you had, like a fireman's carry kind of way, somebody that just knows how to move people around. They just kind of lift you up and walk around the room with you. That's like the Busa. It doesn't really think too much about whatever work you're putting it through. It's just part of the day. It's not frantic about anything. CV saying, I need that inline 4 though. Inline 4 is good stuff. Scott Walker saying, you seem to have liked the 650 in your first ride review, but now you seem not as pleased with it. Only reason why I asked is because I'm seriously considering getting one. There's something about it. I like the bike. As a matter of fact, the CBR 650, it's a wheeling little bike. It's a fun bike to ride. I don't have anything necessarily against it. Matter of fact, if you're looking for a bike like that, a la Daytona 660, anything like that, I would probably lean towards the Honda. I didn't really know what to make of the e-clutch. Although I will say that those that I've talked to that have those bikes with the e-clutch, they tend to really like them. One thing I will tell you about that bike is the e-clutch, the way that it is programmed is really good. And if you can just forget that you have a clutch on that bike and treat the shifter like just an up-down quick shifter, it's like having the slickest quick shifter you've ever ridden with ever, like ever. It really is that good. And if you can't, as far as power output, it's right there in line. I mean, it's right there in line with where it needs to be. And I don't think that you'd get bored with the power. Again, the technology is a bit of a novelty, but once you get used to it, I think that you'll appreciate it. And you'll probably get to a point with it where you prefer it, I would probably guess. Matt said, I can never go back to not having a quick shifter. You know, it's funny. Okay, check this out, Matt. At this stage of the game, I love quick shifters. I love the technology, but I also know that a quick shifter is taking advantage of a coincidental quirk in these transmissions. And that is when you kill power, you can slide these bikes into gear. Or if you roll off the throttle and just go to what we call slack throttle or transmission slack in this case, slack load, then you can just pop into gear. You've got things that are spinning, things that are going to mesh, and it'll go into gear. The thing is, it's not like the transmission is made for that. It just happens to accommodate it, if that makes sense. And what I've found is that the mechanism to make that work can sometimes get in the way. That plunger style quick shifter sensor is what I'm referencing. It's why I put the FT-ECU sensor on the 636, made all the difference in the world on that bike. But they do still have their quirks. I have, though, since I've been riding GSX-R 750s for so long now, and since I'm putting so many miles on bikes without quick shifters, I find myself liking having no quick shifter better than having a quick shifter. And the reason for that is that I don't end up with quick shifter anxiety, for one. But two, if you ever listen to me ride one of these bikes, it doesn't really sound like a quick shifter is going to do me a whole lot of good. In some scenarios, it can be nice to have, but I'm just now so used to not riding with one that I end up turning this on my GSX-R 1000. I'd ride it like it doesn't have a quick shifter unless I am hammering on that bike. And I mean, far right-hand side of the tag, wide open throttle, and I need all the stability that I can get out of that thing because of how fast it'll accelerate to the top of fifth gear, which is with that sprocket that's on the back of it, a GPS verified, I want to say 172 at the top of fifth gear, but it gets there like that, like in the flash of an eye, that thing is already there. Let's see. Matt's liking the quick shifter. I get it. When they're working good, they're actually really cool. Double X is saying, I have a 2004 R6, had it for 6 years, and wondering should I keep it or get something like an 09 CBR 600 RR or newer R6? Man, I mean, if you love the bike, keep the bike that you got. There's no reason to upgrade to another 600 over what you've got. The 04 R6 is a really good bike. Certainly wouldn't get rid of it for an 09 CBR 600. Maybe would look at, something a little bit newer, something after 2013. But no, I wouldn't. If you love your R6, keep rocking that R6, man. That's it. Yeah, you and your decades of experience. I'm going into year 7 of riding. Hey, you're still good. You're a vet now, bro. See, my problem is that I had gotten started when I was 5 with a PW50, and my cousin and I running around in the middle of a field with our dads and up in the woods. So, it's kind of ingrained into the genes. It's weirder for me not to have a bike. Oh, Skywalker's saying, right on. Yeah, the only thing that was concerning about the CBR 650 is everyone except you says it just lacks power, which honestly was also said about the GSX 8R stock, and I actually really enjoyed that bike. See, this is what I was talking about in that ride-along video that I did, the nighttime video that I did with my 750. People that will complain about a bike not having power in this in this category, in this class, I've got a little bit of a beef with that. You don't say that a middleweight lacks in power. Compared to what? Compared to what other middleweight? You have to take these machines within the context that they're meant for. And they're meant for somebody that wants something sporty, but you don't want to be burdened with the extra power that comes with a GSX-R 600 or a CBR 600. You want something that is immediately responsive with your throttle input, something that you don't have to spend at 13, 14, 16,000 RPM, whatever it is, to enjoy. You want to be able to push your skill set without pushing your luck. That's exactly what these bikes are for. Motorcycles like the R7, the GSX 8R, the CBR 650R, the Daytona 660, the Trident 660, GSX 8S. I'm going to miss, that's only a third of the field, I'm sure, but it's just the ones that are coming to my head immediately. That's exactly what those bikes are for. Look at Twins Cup. Seriously. That is a racing series where you have the R7, the GSX 8R, and all the rest of these bikes that are specifically 100 horsepower or less. And it's a popular class. People enjoy it. It's an inexpensive developmental league. And you can get out there and learn how to ride fast and have a blast on these bikes. And look, I'm going to just go out here and tell you right now, anybody, you don't say that bikes like that lack in power. You only say that they lack in power when you compare them to another one of their own class. And within their class, CBR 650 is up there near the top. I think it's at 92 horsepower. So almost 100 horsepower out of that bike. The GSX 8R, the 776 family of bikes, don't make the horsepower, but they got a ton more torque right through the fat part of the RPM range. So a different type of riding experience, right? The Hornet 750 flips that on its head. It's a twin that tries to act like a triple or a 4-cylinder. But you don't say that one of them lacks power. Well, compared to what? And this is the other thing. To those that would say, well, it doesn't make enough power. Okay. Super Sport, let me ask you this. What do you ride? Oh, I've got a GSX-R 1000. Really? Why did you get such a slow piece of shit? What do you mean it's not a slow piece of shit? It goes 200 miles an hour. Well, because you could have put a turbo on it, but you're not going to stop there. You need nitrous, right? You need to run it on nitromethane. You'll never have it on the side of the tire. You're not developing a skill set with that thing. Go ahead and drop it, extend it. You haven't taken it over 240. 240 is that's the cover charge for going fast, right? At what point does the argument just completely dissolve, right? So as long as the bike is what I would call, like with chicks, height, weight, proportionate. You're looking at a female and you're like, damn, that girl looks good. You want to know why she looks good? Because the proportions are right. Some chicks might be taller, shorter. Maybe you like them a little bit bigger. It doesn't matter. As long as those proportions fit within the height, the weight will come with the proportions. And that's where I am with motorcycles. They're just chicks. And you set them up and you think them like that, it makes more sense. You don't compare one to the next. I'm not going to compare a figure skater to a volleyball player. They're two completely different animals, right? And that's the way I look at it. So anyway, I get a little bit sensitive when it comes to that because people will, I would, and just like what I was saying in the video, when I did that ride along video with the 750, if someone were to make somebody try to feel bad because they're trying to make themselves feel better, that's a hoe ass move anyway. But the point of this is that somebody worked hard to get that CBR 650. That's the bike that they like. That's the bike that they want to go for a ride on. That's the bike that speaks to them. That's that seat for their ass. And that's the bike that they're going to go on adventures on. They're going to feel the wind going through their seams in their jackets, like I talk about in that video. They're going to be on that bike when they're seeing the lights of the city, when they're going over a bridge. They're going to be on that bike when they're working through some things that might be troubling them, or might be going through some great times and are just trying to reflect on them on a ride on their bike. It's in those periods in moments where that machine becomes part of the entire experience as a whole. And if that bike is one that you like, you don't want to have it in the back of your head that somebody freaking washed it down a little bit because it's not, some other motorcycle that they deem to be better. That's why you'll always hear me kind of diss a little bit on Harley guy when he says, oh, Sportster's not a real Harley. It's like, all right, well, I guess it's not then, there's whatever they're trying to get over and whatever, demons that they've got to deal with, that's on them. But no, you get the bike that you want because you're going to enjoy it. And then you're going to be motivated to ride it, which means your skill set is going to improve. Your skill set improves. Now you can play. And when you can play, that's when your skill set will explode, leaps and bounds better. Now you're out there, you're a safer rider, you're a faster rider, you're having fun, you're enjoying the bike, and everything is just going to click that much better, all because you didn't let some jackass with a bone to pick with his stepdad wreck your thoughts of what a fun machine can really, honest to God, be. All right, getting back to it. Get off my soapbox here for a minute. Tim said, I tried a quick shifter for 8 weeks and took it off, just like changing gears and blipping the revs, same. It's all part of the experience for me, each to their own, I guess, but maybe I'm just getting old. Man, I tell you what, I love me some quick shifter, but I don't know. I'm too tactile at this point. Maybe I'm the same. You and I are the same, maybe. That's saying that's why my Ninja 650 was a good step for me coming up from the R3, comfy seat, sport bike, etc. Absolutely. Sal Walker said, yeah, exactly. It's like they compare everything to super sports. I have a bigger bike, and I tell you, there's something about pushing the light, lower powered bikes fast. So that 650 seems like a lot. Might have to be. Matt saying they're all chicks and they're all about proportions. And yes, a man of culture, indeed, sir. My brother and I used to always say, pretty is pretty. It's hard to define it, and it isn't just one look. That's right. That is right, my friends. But with that, guys, we are catching over an hour into the show. Ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here, fellas. I have got to get back to work. Listen, want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me tonight. We will be doing the big official reveal here pretty soon. Be on the lookout for that. A lot of more candid style videos are going to come with that bike too. Not really a change of format, just a change in the way that I'll be presenting this motorcycle. Looking forward to bringing you the content with this machine. Hopefully it's soon. We can get through some of the weather we're about to have here. Listen, if you're cold, they're cold, bring them inside. But with that, guys, listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. Skywalker, appreciate the kind words. Miki, take care. Matt, y'all stay warm too. And with that, we are out of here. Take it easy.